Hi, I'm Laura from Petite Stitchery, and this is my assistant Mia. And today we're going to teach you how to make a simple skirt with an elastic waistband and a cute pocket. So the first thing we want to do is measure the waist. So Mia just ate lunch, so she's 22.5 inches. She's normally about 22 inches for her waist. So we're going to write down the waist measurement. Waist, 22 inches. Okay, and then the next thing you want to do is measure how long you want the skirt. What you want to do is start right about the comfort length, which is kind of right even with the belly button. So I measure right here, and then what you can't see is that I'm measuring to her knee, but I'm going just above the kneecap, and that's 15 inches in length. So this is my finished length that I want. Okay, Mia, I'm going to make your skirt for you. You can run off, and then I'll show it to you when you're all done, okay? Okay, so what you want to do for the width of the skirt is multiply it by 2. That'll give you nice fullness to move around. Now, since Mia's is 22 inches, her waist is 22. When you double that, that's 44 inches. Okay, so we kind of got lucky because she fits within the normal width of this fabric. So our gallery, we're using this beautiful Bonnie Christine fabric, and it's 45 inches wide. So we actually don't need to cut 2 pieces. We can use 1 piece. Okay, now waist to hem, that's a trickier measurement. We're using 3/4 inch no roll elastic. I like 1 inch or 3/4 inch no roll elastic works really well. So you've got to build in the hem, and I typically do a 1/2 inch fold and then another 1/2 inch fold. So we're going to add 1 inch for the hem. This is a 3/4 inch elastic, so we need to add 3/4 inch for the elastic so that we can fold it over, and then we're going to do a 1/4 inch fold and a 1/4 inch fold. Sometimes a 1/4 inch and a 1/4 inch, you've got to get it so precise that it's easier just to do a 1/2 inch fold. So you fold it in, you tuck it in a 1/2 inch. So why don't you just allow for an extra 1/2 inch? So for and this will get clear once we get going, but you're going to want to add the length of your elastic. So that's 3/4 of an inch. And then you need to be able to fold and close out that casing, which is a 1/2 inch. So casing, elastic. Now if I had a 1 inch elastic, I would add 1 inch. Okay, and then you add this together. So we have 16, so this is 17.25 inches long. Oh, the other thing, we're gonna add a pocket, and I love pockets on skirts. So what we're gonna do for this pocket is make a 9-inch square pocket just on the side of the skirt. And so what I did, and I've already cut this, is I cut 1 piece of fabric that's 9 inches wide and 18 inches long. Okay? And now I'm going to cut the width for the skirt, and we'll be good to go. Alrighty, so what we're going to do is sew this side seam. If you have a serger, you're going to want to finish the edge, but our first seam will be to sew right here along this side seam, and then we're going to hem the top and the bottom. While we're sewing that side seam, we're also going to work on our pocket. And for the pocket, I like just to fold it in half. This is going to be my top edge. So you're going to do a 3/8 inch here, go straight across, leave a 2 to 3 inch opening in the middle, continue on and go all the way up the sides. We'll clip our corners and turn it and press. So let's start sewing. We're going to do a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Make sure you backstitch. And there we go. Okay, so now we're just going to finish our side seam. Okay, and then we move to the pocket, and like I said, we're just gonna leave the opening at the bottom so that we can close it off. Okay, so we'll clip this thread in the middle. We'll clip our corners. Okay, then we're gonna turn this inside out or right side out. Another good thing to do is once it's nice and pressed, is we're gonna do a 3-inch hem or just a top stitching across right about here, down. The next thing we're gonna do with this is press our hem and press the top for the casing. So let's go over to the ironing board. So if you remember our measurements, we did a half an inch for the seam allowance and then 3/4 of an inch. So we went up 1.25 inches for the casing. How we're going to use that 1.25 inches is that you fold a quarter down and then you fold down 1 inch. And what that's going to give you is plenty of room for the elastic. Now you're going to want to stitch right along just inside this fold so you've got enough room for the casing. Now I do not like a lot of extra room for the casing because what happens is your elastic will twist. If you get it in there nice and tight, you're not going to have that problem. So now we're going to stitch the casing closed and leave about 2 inches at the seam. And I've also already pressed my hem. And so I pressed it a 1/2 inch and then up another 1/2 inch. And we'll just top stitch right inside the fold. Okay? Okay, so now we're ready to top stitch. So we'll start and back stitch and go all the way around. Okay, now we're going to work on the casing, and so the thing I like to do is not do it right at this bulkiest part, but do it right before, and make sure that I go the direction of the seam allowance because then it's so much easier to push the elastic through on this side. So make sure when you first put it through, you're going with the seam allowance. Okay, so now we're done with the casing, but before we put the elastic in, we want to also position the pocket. I take my pocket, which I've turned and pressed, and see I still have my bottom opening here. I put a crease down the center, and then I position my pocket right along the crease, right along the side seam. And then I like to have my pocket about 1 inch off the bottom. And then you just pin it in place. Okay, so now we're gonna start up here and we're gonna go all the way down, across, and up the other side. Make sure you back stitch both times. Okay, and when you back stitch, whoops, missed my back stitch. Okay, and then you pull it out. All right, and so now we have a really nice big pocket. And what kid doesn't like big pockets? Okay, so the last thing we're gonna do is the elastic. I usually take about 2 inches off the width of the elastic. So since she's a 22-inch waist, I'll make this 20 inches. So I like to go with the seam allowance so I don't get all that buckled in there, and you just feed your elastic through. You pay attention to the direction of the elastic so you don't twist it inside the casing. And that's another reason to have your elastic casing really snug, because it's much more difficult to twist the elastic when the casing is snug. Everybody has their own way of sewing elastic closed. I really like to keep it flat and sew a box around the overlap. So then you pull it through, and look how cute this is. Now you just sew your opening closed. Okay, now we're gonna make a seam right down the middle of the elastic. And what this is gonna do is it makes sure your elastic never twists. Trim your ends, and isn't that cute?